Pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to Nerf Secrets Revealed. So today, let me just go ahead and announce firsthand that it's episode number 300. That's right, 300 episodes of Nerf Secrets Revealed. And why don't I just go ahead and say first off, I've come this far, indubitably. But I'll also add on to the fact that there's still a lot of business that I still have to tend to here on the series itself. Ergo, a lot of topics have to be discussed. So let me just go ahead and get started in honor of 300 episodes of NSR, that the internals of all blasters, regardless of what it is in general, whether if it's the shape, size, weight, capacity, color scheme, branding, or, well, the lineup it comes from, the internals can definitely play a good role in judging the distance or the scale of how far a dart could possibly go. Now, first off, I would very much just like to point out first off that maybe would be a great time to give out a good update to it, because as of now, there certainly has been a lot going about with the new Ultra lineup in terms of how far it can actually fire. For Ultra darts, in retrospective, of course they can be good at being waterproof, ergo they won't really get a lot of water damage to them as opposed to some other foam construction, but in a way, there is kind of a problem to it. The fact that it makes it so dense, it would definitely allow for some better hang time for it, but because of its cracked sort of design to it, I guess surface tension can get a little overwhelming to it, and air could probably flow into the somewhat narrow pockets, which would cause some drag. So by smoothing it out instead of just putting on that little crack sort of effect, it probably would have done a little better. Now, I can imagine the fact that Drac Thalassa of the state of Georgia would probably think otherwise about the Ultra darts, but the sad truth is that as another owner of Ultra blasters, yeah, I am bound to get the 4 and the 5, the 7, the 3, and the 6 at some other point in time, but as of now, I only have the 1 and 2. But judging from how the internals play a good role in, the Ultra lineup certainly would have a pretty good chance of getting its range claim of 120 feet, but with the kind of darts that it has, the kind of cracked sort of look to it, it doesn't really seem to do much help for it. Its aerodynamics can get flawed depending on what the shape of it is. And if it's nice and smooth and sleek and streamlined, just like how some darts were back in the day, most elite darts, as a matter of fact, happen to have a much more smoother sort of surface on it, and sometimes its foam is just a little harder to the touch. So of course it can achieve some of its velocities and some of its distance claims in a jiffy, while other times it may not do so well, depending on the certain condition of the dart itself. But the way internals have worked to propel darts up to pretty good distances, I can tell you for sure, maybe by now would be a great time to identify a few key factors into it. Number one, the plunger tube and air restrictor and spring, they've all had something in common. They've had a lot of evolution in the last decade. As in, the evolution of the internals is primarily concerned with those 3 parts. The air restrictor, of course, it can allow for some better distance claims if it's done properly, and if it's removed, then well, consider that simple mod an easy way to judge a distance claim being measured out as if something was on steroids. It's that good. But for most of today's blasters, being that they don't really have some of the generic elite internals inside of them, especially with the Alpha Strike lineup and Ultra lineup becoming Hasbro's biggest priority at this point in time, and considering the fact that 6 new Ultra blasters are going to be up in the market soon, we're going to have a lot of things to work on here. There are already some internals videos that do showcase a lot of things about the Ultra blasters and how they function, but most of the time they don't really tend to show us something that's very significant, as it is a brand new type of blaster out there. It's only been around for less than a year, seeing as how that technology hasn't really evolved much, as opposed to Elite blasters or other blasters reminiscent of that type, Mega blasters have gotten somewhat better as well. I could probably announce firsthand that maybe now would be a great time to go ahead and just suffice with what we got. Because after all, Ultra Blasters might only continue to get better as time goes on, because the Ultra 4 was proved to be a good blaster, and the Ultra 5 was also proved to be a good blaster. But as for the 7 and the 3, well, some people have had some, well, dire negativity towards them, especially with Drac. I mean, you take a look at the leak of the Ultra 3, which had been released a few weeks ago. I mean, wow. Drac has a lot of hate for that lineup now. Ain't that right? But you know what? We're going to just carry on through all this good stuff, and we are going to find some good stuff about the Ultra lineup in general. If the darts really aren't that good, then, well, just consider the fact that maybe the design of them is not what's going on so well. But as for internals, which are the main focal point here that I'm trying to do justice on, it's certainly a pretty big affair. Something that's worth having some gripes over, but other times it's worth having a bit of a note inside your memory that maybe there is something good about these things. A potential that really allows for some good potential in and of itself. A memoir of some sort. But you know what? There's still a lot of other things that I might as well go ahead and start going through with this. So, here on episode 300 and onwards, I'm Jay Nowak. This is Nerf Secrets Revealed, and I still got a long road to go down here. So if you want to see more, go down to my channel. Make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.